is all right. Hey everyone, this is Miss Ellis. This is the uncut, untrimmed version of how I go through and solve these AP CSA FRQs. My goal is actually to start from really top down in terms of solving the most recent FRQs first, and then go from there. So we're going to start with 2022, and really my goal really is to go through and complete every FRQ from the past 10 years. That is 40 FRQs, but I'm going to tackle hopefully a couple each day. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get started. And all right, some of these I've seen before, some of them I haven't. So you're going to see as I go through the things that I struggle with, and how I go through and solve these. But most of these problems are really just a variation of the same couple of tips and tricks over and over again. And once you know what those tips and tricks are and when to use them, it becomes really easy. All right, so usually with these problems, I'm going to give myself about, ideally, I'm going to try to solve it within 15 minutes and give myself the last 7 minutes to go ahead and review. All right, let's get started. So number one, this question involves a simulation of the play and scoring of a single-player video game. In the game, a player attempts to complete 3 levels. The level in the game is represented by the levels class. Okay, so first thing I want to do is I go through and I want to take note of any methods that are there, because if the methods are there in the class, I can be assured that I'm going to have to use them in my solution somewhere. So goal reached is a method and it returns a boolean. Get points is a method in the level class, so I need a level object to use them, and it returns integers. Okay, all right, an integer. All right, and there's also another class, it's called the game class, okay, and it's got a method called isBonus. It's got a method called play, get score, and I'm paying attention to the return values, boolean, void, int, play many times, num. Okay, and it's already telling me that I'm gonna have to write the code for part A and code for part B. Okay, but everything else, I can guarantee that somewhere in my code, I'm gonna have to use each of these methods. So far, I haven't seen an FRQ where I didn't have to use all of them. All right, so A, it says write the get score method, which returns the score for the most recently played game. Each game consists of 3 levels. The score for the game is computed using the following helper methods. isBonus, okay, so it's telling me that I'm going to need these helper methods. isBonus of the game class returns true if this is a bonus game and returns false otherwise. Okay, goal reached returns true if the goal has been reached on a particular level and returns false otherwise. And then get points method of the level class returns the number of points recorded on a particular level. Whether or not recorded points are earned depends on the rules of the game which follow. Okay, the score for the game is computed according to the following rules. Right, okay, so there's a lot of information. I'm trying to figure out what's happening here. Okay, so let me just scroll back up. First off, I want to figure out what data type am I returning? An int. Okay, so without having complete understanding of what this problem is asking me, I know that whenever I see these problems, first thing I'm going to do here is, and let me see, APCSA 2022 FRQ number 1. First thing I'm going to do here, and I don't need to think about what the method header is going to be because it's already written for me. Public int get score. So I'm going to say public int get score. And keep in mind that normally I'd be writing this on paper, but I'm going to go ahead and just make sure that my indentation is similar to how I would do it. Okay. Right, good. So let's go. I want to make sure my indentation is similar to how I would do it on paper. Okay, get score doesn't have a parameter. Okay, usually this would already be provided for me, so I don't need to think about what the header is looking like. Okay, so I know I need to return an int, so I'm going to go ahead and just say like int result. And I might have to change this initial value, but usually this is a pretty good number. Like if it's a boolean, to say true or false, if it's an integer, to say 0, if it's double, to say 0.0, and I'm going to go ahead and write return, because I know that I can usually squeak out a point if I return the value. So I'm going to go ahead and just go ahead and do that first. Okay, so done. That's one thing done. I know I'm returning an int. And how do I get this int? Okay. The score for the game, okay, it says get score, so the int's probably going to represent the score. It returns the score for the most recently played game, okay? And each game consists of 3 levels, okay? And these are the helper methods that are supposed to help me, okay? It says level 1 points are earned only if the level 1 goal is reached, okay? Level 2 points are earned only if both the level 1 and level 2 goals are reached. And level 3 points are earned only if the goals of all 3 levels are reached. Okay, all right, so this seems pretty straightforward. I need to go ahead and use this goal reached method because it says if the goal is reached, okay? And then it says the score for the game is the sum of the points earned for level 1, 2, and 3. If the game is a bonus game, the score for the game is tripled. Okay, that's a lot of information, but let's break it down. Let's just focus on this first part, okay? Level 1 points are earned only if the level 1 goal is reached. So I'm going to go ahead and, so it seems like, okay, the first thing I need to do is go ahead and write an if statement. Say like if, let's see, goal reached. Now, how do I call this goal reached method? Let me find out. So I know normally when I need to call a method, I have to say like object, I'm going to just write this up here, object.method, and then I put my arguments. So anytime I need to use a method, that's the pattern here. But if I'm calling a method within its own class, then I don't need to put anything out in front of goal, the method, its name. So let me go back. Let me see. I'm writing this method. Right. It's called. What's this method called? It's called get score, and it's inside of the game class. And right, okay, and then the helper methods that are available is bonus, goal reached, and get points. Those are all like goal reached, get points. These are level methods in the level class. So that means that I need a level object in order to do this. But wait, I didn't even realize here there are these instance methods that are supposed to help me out here. So I'm going to use this instance instance variable, level 1, and I'm going to use that to call my goal reach method. So I'm going to say if level 1 dot goal reached, if that returns true, so I could say equals true, or I could leave it just like this. If that's true, then I'm going to go ahead and I need to get the points for that level. So I'm going to say result plus equals level 1 dot get points. Did I call this method correctly? That's the question I always want to ask myself. Did I call that method correctly? Get points. Okay, it doesn't have any parameters. Great. I used it with the right object, which is a level object. Great. Perfect. Good. Okay. For here, I can't just say get points like this because it's going to assume that I'm talking about a game object. It's going to be like, if I delete that little word in front, it's going to assume that I'm talking about a method within this game class, but get points isn't in the game class, it's in the level class, so I need to use a level object. Okay, good. Now, basically what I want to do from here now is I need to do the same thing. I won't have the advantage of copying and pasting on the AP exam, but for the sake of time, since I have to explain more things to you, I'm going to copy and paste here. So basically what I want to do is, so I think the second thing was that, like, okay, if I go back, let me see, I'm trying to go faster here. If, what does it say? It says, for this part, okay, it says if level 2 points are earned only if both the level 1 and the level 2 goals are reached. Okay, so I think I see the pattern here. So I'm going to say if level 1 dot goal reached, parentheses, and level 2, because there was another instance variable for a level 2 object, level 2 dot goal reached. If that's true, then I'm going to go ahead and add the points from level 2 to my results. And then I'm going to do the same thing here for level 3. Okay, now, is this the most efficient code? Maybe not. I'm sure there's some of you who are looking at this right now and they're like, wait, there's a better way to do this. And now my computer is dying here. So I'm going to have to go ahead and grab some juice here to charge up, but the timer's still going. Make sure you're prepared for the AP exam. Got your pencils, got your scratch paper if needed, got your quick reference guide, which should be provided for you, but get a good night's worth of sleep. Be prepared for the exam. Okay, anyway, so I'm going to say if level 2, that's not how you write the name. if level 3 dot goal reached. This would be a lot easier if I were writing this on paper. In fact, in the future, I'll probably write this on paper. Get a little camera so I can hang it up, and you can see my desk while I write this out. Okay, so I think I've got the idea. So for level 1, I've got to pass both. I've got to get the goal for level 1, and then I add the points to the result. For level 1 and level 2, I've got to reach both of the goals, and then I can get the level 2 points. And if I reach the goal for level 1, 2, and 3, I can go ahead and add those points. Definitely think there was a better way to do this, but I'm on the clock, so I can't really spend too much time thinking about it. I just have to thinking about the best solution. I'm just thinking about a solution that's going to work, and then I know it's going to work. Okay, so it says the score for the game is the sum of the points earned for levels 1, 2, and 3. If the game is a bonus game, the score for the game is tripled. Now, notice that it says if the game is a bonus game. So that means I'm not working with a level object anymore. I'm working with a game object. And this get score method that I'm writing for part A is within the game class. So that means all I need to do here is go ahead and say result gets result times 3 if, can't forget my if statement, if is bonus. And again, I could say is bonus equals true, or I could just say this. These are equivalent statements because this evaluates to true or false, and if the program sees true right here, then it's just going to go ahead and run this code underneath. So, right. And again, I don't need to put an object name right out in front because isBonus is a method that is already within the game class. See, this is the game class. It's the same class as this getScore method, which I'm writing, so I don't need to put an object name out in front. Okay, so looks like it's good. So if it's a bonus, I'm going to triple the score. Otherwise, I think I'm all done with this method. All right, it looks good. Time is going. And again, I said I was going to try to do this in 15 minutes and give myself 7 minutes of extra time. And I've got 3 minutes if I want to meet my goal. So I'm going to have to try to figure something out here. Now, this is a table that is here. And ideally what I would do is in my last 7 minutes, I would go through this table and make sure that my answer lines up and works for all of these input values, because if it works for all these input values, then I can feel pretty confident in that my answer is good. All right, for part B, I have to write the play many times method here. Okay, so let me go ahead and write that method header. Public int play, wait, was it? Yeah, okay, it's an int method. Play many times and num. Okay, so now I'm writing the play many times method. Okay, and what class am I writing this in? Okay, I'm writing this in the game class. Okay, so that's great. Good. Okay, so that means that all of the game class methods, I can just refer to them by name. I don't need to write an object name in front of it. So I have to write the play many times method, which simulates the play of a num game. So, okay, so num is our input, so it might simulate the play of 5 games or 4 games or 3 games, and it returns the highest score earned. Okay, returns the highest. That already is a signal to me. Okay, this is going to be like a maximum method. I need to find the maximum. Okay, so for example, if 4 plays of the game that are simulated, if the 4 plays of the game that are simulated as a result of the method call play many times, this is a long sentence, 4 earn scores of 75, 50, 90, and 20, then the method should return 90. Okay, this confirms my belief that yes, this is a method that is returning the highest number. In fact, given that, I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and create a method, create a variable. I'm going to call it int max. And what I can do is on the Java Quick Reference Guide, and here, let me show you this. Java Quick Reference Guide. Let's go ahead and pull that up. On the Java Quick Reference Guide, what I can do, now, if I were working with an array, I could just go ahead and set this value to be like the first element in the array. I'm not working with an array. So one thing I can do, if I want to just go ahead and give this a template value, I can go ahead and set max to be integer dot min value. And that might sound a little bit weird, like, whoa, why would you set that to integer.min value? Why would you set that why wouldn't you set that to integer.max value? And the reason for that is that integer.min value is the smallest possible number in Java. So basically any number that I come across is going to be bigger than this value, this initial value. So then I'm not going to run the risk of accidentally returning the wrong value. If I said integer.max value, none of my numbers would be bigger than that max value, and so it would return the wrong value here. So I want to go ahead and set this as integer.min value just to give this a good initial value. I could also set this equal to -1 because I'm never going to get a score less than -1. But sometimes we might have negative numbers. So in this case, let's just go ahead and just to get into the good practice of it, say integer.min value. Okay, great. So now I know that if I'm going to be playing many times, I can already guess I'm going to need a loop, but let's just go ahead and read further so you know. Play of the game is simulated by calling the helper method play. Okay, note that if play is called only one time, followed by multiple consecutive calls to get score, each call to get score will return the score earned in the single simulated play of game. Okay, so I want to make sure that if it's only played one time, that it returns that one. Okay, if the game is only played once and I earned a score, for instance, of like 50, then it's going to return 50. If it plays once and I earn a score of, I don't know, 75, it's going to return 75. So, okay, cool. Got to make sure that is good. Okay, it says complete the play many times method. Assume that get score works as intended, regardless of what you wrote in part A, and you must call play and get score appropriately in order to receive full credit. Okay, so this is what's going to happen. I first need to do a little bit more investigation, and I need to figure out what play looks like. Okay, this play method. So if I want to play multiple times, that is my indication that I'm going to need a loop. So I'm going to say, let's say int count equals 1, okay? And as long as count is less than or equal to nums, I'm going to go ahead and increase this count. Okay, and the reason why I'm doing this is because I want to play as many times as there are nums. So if nums is 4, then I want this to loop 4 times so that I can call this play method, which you're going to see in a moment. There we go. Okay, so now this makes sure that, again, if nums is 100, then I'm going to call play 100 times. If nums is 5, I'm going to call play 5 times, because count starts off as 1, and it's going to keep counting all the way until count is the same as nums. So that means it's going to loop that many times. Okay, so when I play this, I need to go ahead and get whatever the score is. Okay, so I need to call the getScore method, but again, I need to think about, wait, hold on, did I call this method properly? Did I use this object.method and then the arguments pattern? Let me go back. Okay, getScore, it's in the game class. I'm writing this play many times method within the game class, so I don't need to write a method out in front because it is implied that the method is this. It is implied, I don't need to put the object name out in front of the method because it is implied that the object is this. So I could even put this in front of it. It's the same thing as not writing anything out in front at all. Okay, so whenever I got the score, I need to go ahead and check to see if this score is greater than the max. So I can go ahead and store this in a little variable. I'll call it int temp gets this dot get score. And basically if the temp is greater than the max, then I'm going to go ahead and make the max to become the temp. And better yet, let me call my variable a better name. So I'm going to say if the score is greater than the max, then the max gets the score. Okay, so right, I play the game, I get the score, I check to see if the score is greater than the maximum, and if so, the maximum gets updated. Okay, this is the end of my loop, end loop. And then I can go ahead and I can return the max. Okay, seems pretty good. Okay, I want to think about the case in which like this only loops one time. Okay, so if it loops only one time, then it's played. We check to see if the score is greater than the max. It will definitely, because it's going to be greater than integer.min value, which is a negative number. Yeah, okay, so this looks like it's pretty good. Now, I went way over my goal, and I only have 3 minutes left. But this is like a very normal thing that happens when you're working on the AP exam. Sometimes you have less time than you're thinking. And I'm not saying that I'm a perfect test taker, but I do have the skills to kind of figure out how to maximize my time. So essentially what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to just go and run through this. Did it give me, I'm going to check to see if they gave me any like sample inputs. Okay. They did. They gave me one example. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to see if I can really quickly take like a minute and test my method against this call right here to see if it works. So let's say nums is, oops, let's go. So let's say nums is, okay, nums is 4. Okay, and let's say the first one was 75. Okay, what would happen? It would replace max, and max would become 75. And let's say the next one is 50. It would check to see, is 50 greater than the max? No. So the max would stay as 75. And then it would go to 90. It would say, is 90 greater than the max, which is 75? Yes. So then the max would become 90. And then it would check 90 and say, is 90 greater than 20, which is the current score? It would check to see if 20 is greater than max, which is 90 at this point. No. So that means that the max that would be returned is 90, and that's what it returns, 90. Good. Okay, so this method looks like it is okay. I just walked through it really quickly. And now this one, man. So really, you can see I've got about 90 seconds here because I think I started at 1 minute in. So I've got about 90 seconds here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to like try to pick at least like one of these and try to see if my answer works for part A. So here, this one is all about making sure that we don't get points for levels that we didn't do. So here, we don't get points if we didn't complete all of the requirements. So here, here, level 1, they didn't reach the goal. Level 2, they reached the goal. And level 3, no, level 1, they reached the goal. Level 2, no. And level 3, yes. And here, and then this is a bonus here, from my understanding, they should only receive the points for level 1 because in order to get these level 3 points, they've got to pass all the levels before. So this one is 200 times 3, 600. Okay, that makes sense. And I've got about 20 seconds. Let's see if I can check real quick. Okay, now, yep, I remember my program. I didn't check to, yep, they can't get the points if they didn't do a previous level. So this one looks like it's all right. Okay, and then I did check for bonus. So it does look like my program would return 600 in that case. Phew. And at this point, I would have to move on. Well, technically, I do have 90 minutes on the AP exam. I've got 90 minutes on the AP exam. So for the free response. So technically I could have spent a little bit more time on this, but I want to kind of get myself into the habit of spending a certain amount of time on each one. Okay, good. So with that said, that leads me to the place of checking my score. Let's see here. Let's go back and let's look at the scoring guidelines. Okay, so here, where would I be here? Let me see. Where would I be? So, okay, let's look at the sample solution. Maybe mine looks exactly like the sample solution. Let's find out. Ooh, wrong one. We're not on that one yet. Okay, so part A. Okay, yep, I knew there was a better way to do this. Okay, so instead of having such a long compound Boolean statement, they just did these nested if statements, which is one way to do it, yeah. So that way that these two aren't going to get executed unless the previous Boolean expression was true. Okay, and then they did the if bonus, score times equals 3, yep, and then they returned the score. So mine is looking pretty similar. It's looking equivalent. And then here they did the play. Okay, they also create a little temporary variable to check to see, to store what the score was. Okay, and then they check to see if the score was greater than the max, and then the max got the score if that was the case, and then they returned the max. Okay. Whew. All right, I think I've got something that is pretty similar, but let's go ahead and just see what this looks like. Okay, scoring criteria. If I called get points, goal reached, and is bonus for part A, I get the point. Did I do that? Get points, goal reached, and is bonus. Yes. Okay, good. Oops. Great. Determines if points are earned based on goal reached returned values. Yeah, I think I did that. I went through, wrote my if statement, and they cannot earn the points for level 3 unless they've also earned the points for level 2 or completed the goal for level 1 and level 2. Same thing for level 2. You can't get the points for level 2 unless you've done level 1 and level 2. Okay, good. All right, that's looking pretty good. You might see if I make some mistakes along the way, but this should give you a general idea of how to solve. Guards update of score for bonus game based on is bonus return value. When they say this word guards, that usually has to do with an if statement. So yes, I do have an if statement checking to see whether or not the score should be updated, multiplied by 3 based off of the is bonus return value. Initializes and accumulates appropriate score. Is my algorithm correct? I believe so. It does look equivalent to what College Board has produced. Great. Okay, so that's 4 points. And then this one, for the second one, loops num times. Yes. We went through that. We talked about it. Yes. My loop looped num amount of times. I called play and I called get score. Did I do that? Absolutely. I called play and I called get score. Good. Done. Over and done with. Compares a score to an identified max or another score. Yes, I did do that. Identifies the maximum score. Is my algorithm correct? It went through it, walked through it, seems like yes, and returns the identified maximum score. Did I do that? Yes. And again, it helps me that I create these local variables up at the top and then return immediately so I don't forget to do that at the end. It also guides my solution. I did that same thing here. It also guides my solution because it helps me to train my brain to be like, okay, I need to be working out my solution, so I'm going to get some sort of integer. In this case, for instance, what is that integer for? And then going from there. Okay. All right. So that is how I solve these problems. Sorry if I'm a little out of breath here. I'm solving these problems the same way that you guys have to solve them, where I'm like looking at them in many cases for the first time and just trying to figure out what is going to be the best way to solve it. All right. With that said, I'm going to stop right here.